He's looking for diamonds in the rough. With Lee Cowan, meet American picker Mike.
American pickers made Mike Wolfe rich and famous, but over the years, his seemingly perfect image began to crack. His divorce reportedly cost him $5.8 million. His longtime friend and co-host Frank Fritz later died after their bitter feud, and one of his stores mysteriously closed, leaving fans wondering whether the show itself was ever as real as it appeared. From accusations of stage scenes and fake finds to angry neighbors and behind-the-scenes controversies, the truth about Mike Wolfe is far more complicated than what viewers saw on television. Mike Wolfe was born on June 11, 1964, in Joliet, Illinois, and later moved with his family to Bettendorf, Iowa, where he grew up with his siblings, Beth and Robbie. Raised by his mother, Rita, who worked tirelessly to support the family, Wolfe learned early what it meant to struggle. Money was tight, but he never let that stop him. As a child, he often took back alleys and shortcuts to avoid bullies on his way to school, and it was in those forgotten spaces that he discovered something others overlooked, discarded objects with hidden value. At just 6 years old, he found a banana seat bicycle abandoned behind a neighbor's house, cleaned it up, fixed it, and sold it for $5. It wasn't the money that hooked him, but the thrill of turning something forgotten into something valuable. As he grew older, Wolfe spent his time searching for old bicycles, furniture, and antiques while other kids played sports or watched TV. He dragged home rusty bikes and broken chairs, determined to restore them. His mother recognized his passion and allowed him to use a family garage as a workshop. Wolfe wasn't collecting junk. He was learning the art of restoration and resale. His love for bicycles eventually led him to open a bike shop, but his interest soon shifted entirely toward antiques. By 2000, he turned his lifelong passion into a business, opening Antique Archaeology in LeClaire, Iowa. The shop was filled with unique finds from his picking adventures as he spent his days exploring barns, garages, and abandoned buildings in search of lost pieces of American history. Everything changed in 2010 when American Pickers premiered on the History Channel. The show became an instant hit, drawing millions of viewers who loved watching Wolfe and his team uncover forgotten treasures across the country. It wasn't just about antiques. It was about the stories behind them, the craftsmanship, and the people who once owned them. As the show's popularity grew, antique archaeology expanded, and Wolfe opened a second location in Nashville, Tennessee, inside a restored automobile manufacturing plant. The store became more than a shop. It became a destination where history lovers could connect with the past. Wolfe's vision extended beyond antiques. He launched Two Lanes, a clothing brand inspired by road trips in small-town America, and wrote Kid Pickers, a book encouraging children to explore history through collecting. He also worked to preserve historic buildings through projects like This Place Matters, partnering with the National Trust for Historic Preservation. From restoring a 1947 Chevy dealership in LeClaire to revitalizing forgotten buildings in Columbia, Tennessee, Wolfe aimed to prove that history could be saved without losing its purpose. The idea for American Pickers existed long before cameras followed him. Wolfe wasn't chasing fame. He was a lifelong picker who spent decades traveling back roads, uncovering relics and collecting stories. He filmed his adventures and used that footage to pitch networks for 5 years, facing rejection after rejection. Most executives didn't see the appeal, but Wolfe refused to give up. In 2009, the History Channel finally saw the potential, and when the show premiered on January 18, 2010, it drew 3.1 million viewers, eventually climbing to nearly 4 million. What set it apart from similar shows was its heart. It focused on people, places, and forgotten history hiding in plain sight. A major part of the show's success came from Wolfe's partnership with Frank Fritz, a friend he had known since middle school. Bonded by their shared love of antiques and similar childhood struggles, Fritz became the natural choice as co-host. His easygoing personality and quirky interests added warmth and humor, and their chemistry made the show feel authentic. However, behind the scenes, their friendship slowly deteriorated. By 2020, tensions had reached a breaking point, and Fritz stopped appearing on the show. Fans hoped for his return. But in July 2021, Wolfe announced on Instagram that Fritz was officially out, marking the end of one of reality TV's most iconic partnerships. The journey of Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz was filled with ups and downs, but when Wolfe announced Fritz would be missed, Fritz didn't believe a word of it. In an interview, he called Wolfe's statement bulls. Later, Fritz revealed that he and Wolfe hadn't spoken in 2 years. Even after undergoing major back surgery in 2020, Wolfe never checked in. He knew my back was messed up, but he didn't call me up and ask how I was doing, Fritz said. He felt abandoned by someone he had known for over 40 years. The feud ran deeper than silence. Fritz believed the show had become completely focused on Wolfe, stating, "It's tilted towards him 1,000%. He compared the dynamic to a band where Wolfe was always a frontman while he played backup. Health problems made the situation worse. Fritz had battled Crohn's disease for years, leaving him weak and often in pain. In 2020, he had back surgery that kept him off the road, during which he became addicted to painkillers. The network had strict rules about drug use, and Fritz reportedly failed mandatory screenings, giving them another reason to keep him off the show. Despite this, he insisted he hadn't quit. He had been fired. The feud played out publicly. Fritz accused Wolfe of sidelining him in favor of his brother, Robbie Wolfe, who had started appearing more on American Pickers. Wolfe, on the other hand, said he had tried to support Fritz, even encouraging him to get help. He called the falling out painful and compared it to losing a brother. By mid-2021, it was official. The History Channel confirmed Fritz's departure. Fans were upset. They had watched him and Wolfe travel across America for over 300 episodes since the show's debut in 2010. Many felt the show wasn't the same without him, and some even started petitions demanding his return. By then, however, Fritz's health had become a bigger concern than television. Tragedy struck in July 2022 when Fritz suffered a severe stroke that left him partially paralyzed and bedridden. His condition never improved, and on September 30th, 2024, at age 60, he passed away. Despite everything, Wolfe was reportedly by his side in the end. The two had reconnected privately in May 2023. After Fritz's passing, Wolfe posted a tribute on Instagram, calling him a dreamer who was just as sensitive as he was funny. Mike Wolfe made a name for himself digging through barns and backyards, uncovering lost treasures on American Pickers, but over the years, his reputation has faced challenges. Some fans question whether the show is as real as it seems, while others criticize how he runs his business. More recently, his efforts to restore a small town sparked backlash. These controversies haven't stopped him, but they have changed public perception. One of the biggest debates in American Pickers history occurred during the episode Shelby in the Barn, which aired in 2016. The episode followed Wolfe and his colleague John S. as they searched for a Chevy neon sign in Alabama. Instead, they stumbled upon a rare 1967 Shelby Mustang GT500, a car reportedly untouched for over 40 years. The discovery seemed too good to be true, and fans quickly raised questions. Viewers speculated on social media about how such a rare car could appear so conveniently on camera, suggesting production staff might have scouted locations ahead of time or prearranged finds to make the show more exciting. While reality TV often involves some planning, this particular scene felt staged to many. Financial details added to the doubts. Even in poor condition, the Mustang was worth about $75,000, and restoring it would cost over $100,000. Wolfe offered to buy it, but the owner refused, citing sentimental value. This only fueled speculation, with some fans believing the scene was scripted to create drama, while others argued moments like this were necessary to keep the show engaging. The show continued to capture audiences, but it wasn't without controversy. One of the most talked-about finds in American Pickers history sparked debates about whether scenes were staged or spontaneous, keeping fans divided. Outside the show, Mike Wolfe's business practices have also come under scrutiny. In 2022, a customer accused his store, Antique Archaeology, of backing out his sale to accept a higher offer. The customer had placed an order through the website, received a confirmation, and then suddenly received a refund with no explanation. Suspicious, they filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, writing, "I suspect they accepted a higher offer. I just want them to honor the purchase like they originally did." Antique Archaeology explained that two people had bought the same item on January 21st, 2022, and a technical glitch had allowed both payments to go through before the inventory system could update, leading to the second order being refunded. Despite the explanation, some customers remained frustrated. Over the years, others had criticized the store for high prices, pointing out that simple vintage signs sell for $900 and branded socks cost $18, even though the business brings in about $900,000 per year. While Wolfe's team promised to improve the website and prevent similar problems, questions about his ethics persisted. The most heated criticism Wolfe has faced, however, isn't about his show or his store. It's about his impact on Columbia, Tennessee. In 2012, he bought a historic home for $700,000 and spent over $1 million restoring it to its original design. That was only the beginning. He purchased multiple properties, including the 2 lanes vacation rental and a bike shop, as part of a plan to bring new business to the town. While some people appreciated his efforts, others were concerned that he was driving up property values and altering Columbia's identity. The debate intensified when plans surfaced for an $83 million 6-story condo project, with residents worrying that the town's small-town charm was disappearing and that long-time residents might be priced out. Wolfe sees his work as a way to preserve history while creating economic opportunities. He often posts updates on social media, showcasing his restoration projects and his classic car collection, which includes a 1959 Chevrolet El Camino worth $42,400. Even so, criticism continues, raising a broader question. When does revitalization become gentrification? Mike Wolfe's personal life has also faced challenges. He married Jody Faith in 2012, and for nearly a decade they built a life together. Their marriage endured serious hardships, including Jody's battle with stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, diagnosed in 2013. She fought through treatment for years before being declared cancer-free in 2020. Despite overcoming this struggle together, their relationship didn't last. They separated in June 2020, and their divorce was finalized in December 2021 due to irreconcilable differences. The settlement was significant. Jody received over $5.8 million in cash, properties in Tennessee and North Carolina, royalties from American Pickers, and $2,100 in monthly child support. She was also granted primary custody of their daughter, Charlie. Wolfe, however, has remained an active and devoted father, frequently sharing moments with Charlie on social media and demonstrating his commitment to being present despite his demanding career. While the divorce was a difficult chapter, it also pushed him to focus on fatherhood and his ongoing work with antiques and historical preservation. On November 6, 2024, Mike Wolfe turned 60, and his girlfriend, Letitia Clean, celebrated the occasion with heartfelt messages about his journey and accomplishments. For Wolfe, this birthday was more than just another year. It was a chance to step back and reflect on what truly matters. After decades on the road hunting for antiques and telling the stories of forgotten history, his focus had shifted. He spoke about valuing the small circle of people around him and prioritizing meaningful relationships over work. Even with this change in perspective, his passion for picking remained as strong as ever. He continued traveling across the country searching for rare finds and meeting people with incredible stories. Turning 60 didn't slow him down. If anything, it gave him a deeper appreciation for the journey he had been on. 2025 began with an unexpected challenge when his Nashville antique store, Antique Archaeology, suddenly closed in February. The reason given was a gas leak caused by nearby construction, something completely out of his control. The store's team posted an apology on social media, assuring customers that they were working to fix the issue and promising updates on when the shop would reopen. As of late February, no official date had been set. Fans immediately began speculating. Some believed the closure was temporary, while others wondered if something bigger was happening behind the scenes. With retail businesses struggling nationwide and American Pickers facing declining ratings, questions arose about whether Wolfe was shifting focus or if the store might be in trouble. Despite the uncertainty, the Nashville location had long been more than just a store. Situated in Marathon Village, a historic part of the city, it was a must-visit spot for fans of the show and lovers of vintage finds. Alongside its sister store in LeClaire, Iowa, it had been a key part of Wolfe's brand, a physical extension of his passion for uncovering forgotten pieces of history. While running a physical store comes with risks, including unexpected closures, rising costs, and changing customer habits, Wolfe has been in the business long enough to understand these challenges. Though he has not commented on the long-term future of the Nashville store, fans hope it reopens soon. The store closure was only part of a bigger year for Wolfe. 2024 had already been emotional, marked by personal loss and major life changes. In September, his longtime friend and former American Pickers co-star, Frank Fritz, passed away. Their relationship had been complicated after Fritz left the show in 2020 due to health issues. But despite past tension, Wolfe was by his side in his final moments. Their shared history, turning a love of antiques into a show that inspired millions, remained a powerful bond. Even with these personal changes, Wolfe continues to stay active. American Pickers was set to resume filming in South Carolina in February 2025, with producers inviting locals to participate, encouraging those with unique collections and interesting stories to reach out. This effort aims to bring fresh energy to the show amid declining viewership. Beyond television, Wolfe continues expanding his business ventures. Two Lanes Guest House, a boutique rental property, and Columbia Motor Alley, a vintage-inspired space for classic car enthusiasts, remain key parts of his work. Through all these projects, his passion for uncovering history remains at the center of everything he does. Wolfe's dedication to history goes far beyond television. He has written books, including Kid Pickers, designed to inspire children to explore history through antiques. The book teaches kids how to find hidden treasures, research their history, and understand why these pieces of the past matter. This reflects Wolfe's philosophy, not just as a collector, but as a storyteller who wants to pass down knowledge to future generations. He also created Antique Archaeology as a brand extending beyond picking, selling apparel and accessories inspired by his adventures. Fans can buy hats, T-shirts, and other items that connect them to his journey and the spirit of discovery that American Pickers embodies. Wolfe runs 2 physical stores in LeClaire, Iowa, and Nashville, Tennessee, both filled with unique finds from his travels, making them more than shops. They are places where history comes alive. But his passion isn't limited to collecting and selling antiques. He is committed to preserving the spaces where history was made. Working closely with the National Trust for Historic Preservation, he raises awareness about buildings and landmarks at risk of being lost. One of his biggest campaigns, This Place Matters, encourages communities to protect historical sites that tell America's story. He also takes direct action, purchasing and restoring historic buildings himself. In Columbia, Tennessee, he bought a 1947 Chevy dealership that had been empty for years. Instead of tearing it down or modernizing it beyond recognition, he carefully restored it while keeping its original character intact. The building now serves as a retail space and stands as proof that old structures can be repurposed without losing their soul. Wolfe has also invested millions in revitalizing small towns. He knows that when old buildings disappear, communities lose more than structures. They lose businesses, memories, and identity. That's why he invests in towns like LeClaire, Iowa, and Columbia, Tennessee, not only restoring buildings, but creating a future for these communities. One of his initiatives, Nashville's Big Backyard, aims to stimulate economic growth in small towns with populations under 5,000. Stretching from Muscle Shoals, Alabama, to Lyons Fork, Tennessee, the program helps communities attract remote workers and tourists through marketing, tourism, and infrastructure improvements. Wolfe's passion for history extends to motorcycles. He has collected and preserved over 130 antique motorcycles, beginning with a bike he secretly bought at 13. Some of his rarest models include a 1913 Indian TNN and a 1934 Harley-Davidson VL. Wolfe is especially drawn to pre-1920 American motorcycles for their connection to the earliest days of motorized transportation. Unlike many collectors who restore old motorcycles to look brand new, Wolfe preserves them in their original condition, valuing scratches, dents, and rust as pieces of their story. He also rides them, taking vintage bikes on scenic trips across the country and connecting with fellow enthusiasts. Collaborations with museums like Wheels Through Time in North Carolina have helped showcase historically significant motorcycles. In January 2025, Wolfe made headlines by auctioning 62 motorcycles from his collection at Mume Auctions in Las Vegas. This decision wasn't just about selling. It reflected a shift in focus. Wolfe wanted to concentrate on specific eras of motorcycle history and give other collectors a chance to own special pieces. To him, these bikes are storytellers that capture the spirit of innovation and adventure from another era. Everything Wolfe does, whether picking antiques, restoring buildings, or collecting motorcycles, comes down to the same goal, ensuring history isn't forgotten. He wants people to see the value in old things, not just because they are rare or expensive, but because they carry meaning.